what we're doing in off-grid energy is actually a very attractive investment place to be, but also holds a lot of promise for solving the energy access problem in Nigeria. That is really one of our major foundational problems. Um, okay, so on the left side you see the challenges, and that's where I'll start with, and I think that's what we are all very familiar with because we live with this every day. And so there are roughly there's a massive energy access gap. There's a mass, our national grid on a very good day delivers 3 to 4,000 megawatts to the population. For a country of 200 million people, the rule of thumb for the level of power for basic development, or kind of even, so like around where South Africa is, around where Trinidad and Tobago is, countries like that, is 1 million people for 1,000 megawatts. So essentially we should have on our national grid, we should have 200,000 megawatts or 200 gigawatts. And instead, as you know, we only have 3, 4, 5,000 on a very good day. And so, the government says that our energy access gap on the grid is 30 gigawatts. But I think by that rule of thumb, if we want to develop as a country and grow and be competitive economically, it needs to be closer to 100, and it's closer to 195,000 gigawatt, 195,000 megawatt gap. And so this is just absolutely enormous. The cost to fix this, if we go the traditional route of expanding the grid, expanding sort of large scale generation, and then sort of a national grid, the old model that Nigeria is still very focused on, we're easily talking of a cost of between 40 billion if it's the 30 gigawatts and 200 billion if it's the larger number. So this is obviously an enormous problem. And what it means is that what the research shows is that 75% of households and small businesses in Nigeria are either completely off the grid or have less than 4 hours of power a day. And as all of us know, even that is probably quite generous. Even the remaining 25% probably get maybe 6 hours of power a day. Even Aso Villa probably doesn't get reliable power. And in Nigeria, it's the only place in the world where even in wealthy communities, even in the sort of high-end communities in urban areas, you still have significant power gaps. So it is really a major problem. And the other thing too is even the hours that you do get power, you're never assured of when that will be, right? So it could be that in one day you get 8 hours of power, but 6 hours are from midnight to 6 a.m. when you're sleeping, and then the other 2 are just randomly sometime during the day when you're not even home or you didn't plan anything with it. When I lived in Kenya before moving to Nigeria, I mean, when there was an occasional power issue in Nairobi, they would actually, KPLC would actually send a notification, and they would send a text, and they would say, look, between 3 and 4 p.m. on Friday next week, there's going to be a power outage for X and Y reason. Sorry for the inconvenience. And then you at least knew, but it was pretty constant, and I mean, Kenya is a country that has a much smaller economy than Nigeria. So if they can get it right, then obviously clearly, we should be able to get it right here. So there's roughly 120 million people affected if you count that 75% figure. But even that, again, I think is conservative. We now have the largest off-grid population in the world. So people in Nigeria that are completely off the grid, not even counting of those who get bad grid, is now anywhere from 80 to 100 million. And it makes us the energy access poverty of the world. And this is obviously a very big problem. And it has a huge impact on so many of the socioeconomic indicators where we often find Nigeria performing poorly, whether it's education outcomes, whether it's health outcomes, whether it's business competitiveness, whether it's food security, whether it's security. All of these issues are made really difficult and problematic because of the lack of a solid power supply, and a reliable power supply. And so this isn't just a nice problem to solve. This is a problem that if we don't solve it as a country, we are going to continue to just sort of struggle, and we're never going to get to the level of greatness that we should be. Now, what have Nigerians done to address this problem? We're now also the world's capital for generators. There are at least, conservative estimate is there's at least 20 million generators that are used every day around Nigeria. Something we all grew up with, we're all very used to. And these are not only highly inefficient and very expensive compared to grid power or other forms of power, but it's also very bad for the environment. And it's actually one of Nigeria's, if not the largest emitter of carbon annually. So this is a major problem. Some estimates are that this number is as high as 60 million. but we are certainly the generator capital of the world as well. Obviously, when you have challenges this big, that also means there are significant opportunities, and that's really where All On likes to focus. You know, the challenges seem insurmountable, they seem impossible, but it also means that there's an opportunity to do something about it, and probably people are willing to even pay for that, and you don't have to do it as a social service and that kind of thing. So there's an estimate that around between 15 to 20 billion dollars is spent every year by Nigerians on alternative energy solutions that's not the grid. So distribution companies only collect about $2 billion a year, which is 10% of what is spent annually on other kinds of power solutions. So even the distribution companies are, by their inability to kind of fix the problem, by their inability to deliver proper service, to meter, to do all of these other things, they're actually leaving a lot of money on the table. And especially considering most of them are now privatized, to at least 60% are privatized. The government still owns a portion of each of them, but it's private investors that are in there, and so you just wonder why they're not trying to go after this additional revenue that's out there. But within that 15 to 20 billion, about 10 to 12 billion is spent on diesel and petrol generators, not just on the generators themselves, the hardware, but actually on the fuel to fuel them. And that is a massive business every year. And when you're thinking of sums that big, 10 to 12 billion a year, one way to look at it is, wow, okay, this is going to be a really difficult market to crack because there's a lot of people making a lot of money, and those people will always protect their interest. I mean, we've seen that with the banking sector. When the fintechs are coming in and disrupting them, then the banks kind of go to the CBN and get regulations changed. Our worry is, at what point will these guys with the diesel do the same if they see solar and off-grid, other off-grid solutions kind of cutting into their margins. But so it's a big business, but it also means that we have a market to go after. So if we have a reliable, affordable, cleaner energy solution, we at least have a confidence that there's billions of dollars that will be spent on this, and that there's a ready-made market. We don't have to create a new market. There's also a $10 billion opportunity, an estimate of what could be invested in Nigerian mini grids. Mini grids are the kind of small integrated utility that either you do in a remote village, which unconnected to the grid, or even in a larger town or peri-urban area, and then that community then has kind of on site, they have the solar power generation or the biomass generation, and then a transmission, distribution, metering. All of that is sort of integrated, and that's emerging all over Nigeria. And these communities now have far better and more reliable power supplies than the large urban centers. And there's a $10 billion opportunity there for investment, and a lot of money to be made, but also a lot of impact to be delivered. Solar home systems are the mass market product in this space. Many of you know that Lumos is probably the most recognized brand, but there's many more. There's Salfa, there's Olu, there's B-Box, etc. Since the solar home system product was invented basically 10 years ago, they've sold about 3 to 5 million of these units globally, and just Nigeria has about a market for 10 million, and that's actually a conservative estimate. So again, a huge market opportunity, and this is why a lot of investors and a lot of companies are coming into this space. In addition, the average Nigerian household, the average Nigerian consumer, has a higher willingness to pay for these products than you'll find in India and in East Africa. So again, that helps with the economics. And then very importantly, there's a very sound policy trajectory. And this is actually one of the literal and figurative shining lights of the Buhari administration, is the attention they have put on, renewable off-grid energy. And, they've done this through the mini grid regulation, eligible customer regulation, franchise regulations. There's a $500 million Nigeria electrification program, which provides all kinds of support and subsidies to the private sector in this space. Mobile banking regulations changed to make remote payments and so on much easier. And so this is one area where we can say that this administration has done very well, and they should be applauded for this. And then finally, one of the investees that's on the call is Oxano, and they'll talk to you later. But they're kind of leading the way of saying, look, if Nigeria is going to electrify with solar, for example, we can't do this by importing everything that we need over the next 10 to 20 years. And so they've kind of jumped ahead, and they've already established Nigeria's first solar panel assembly plant here in Lagos, and them and others are there's others coming in to do inverters, others coming in to do other products that are key to the solar that are key to solar installations. And what's attractive there is not only do you have a major market in Nigeria itself in the billions for these products, but because of the Africa Free Trade Zone, you can also now, if we manufacture these here, we actually have a regional opportunity that's with ECOWAS and then our neighboring countries like Chad, Cameroon, um, of up to $5 billion for an export market. So it's a great opportunity not only to create jobs, but also to kind of build a whole economy and ecosystem that can really, really help the Nigerian economy. So as you can see, the challenges are enormous, but I would say the opportunities are actually very exciting and perhaps bigger and can have a transformational impact on Nigeria. All right, next slide.
Thank you, Weber. Is
Sorry.
Weber's done?
No,
Do you
I
have
still
one
have
more?
one more quick slide on what All On does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this you're right.
Okay, so then what are we doing? So why are we, why are we talking to you today? So All On was set up by Shell, basically to address this energy access gap and address it in a way that was using clean, affordable energy for the Nigerian population. And so we do this in four different ways. We have the All On Hub, and each of these segments you'll hear more about from the team leads who run them. But we have the All On Hub. This is the one part of All On that is funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. Everything else is funded by Shell. And the All On Hub provides non-financial technical support to businesses in the off-grid energy space. A lot of these companies, even after they've gotten investment capital, or some don't even need investment capital, but they need other kinds of support. Maybe they're struggling with really their focused strategy. Maybe they're struggling around customer insights and need some support there. Maybe they're working on some kind of developing contracts and so on for their customers, and they need legal support to help with that. Or they need their HR structure doesn't seem to work, and so they need some org structuring support. These are all things that we then offer through the All On Hub in a very strategic way, so that all of these companies, are benefit in various ways and can actually grow and scale at the level that they need to. The next thing is impact investing, and that's our primary focus as a company. We are primarily impact investors, and what that means is we are investors that are investing with the intent not just to have an economic return, but also to create social impact. And that's the core of what impact investing means. And so we invest debt and equity directly into companies that are delivering clean energy solutions to Nigerians, particularly the low income segment and small businesses. And we now have a portfolio of about 35 companies. It's, in terms of numbers of companies in the portfolio, it's by far the largest portfolio like this anywhere in Nigeria and probably West Africa. And that portfolio continues to grow. The majority of our companies are indigenous companies with Nigerian founders solving Nigerian problems. A handful of them are foreign companies that have come into the market that we believe have the technology, the business model that can really help close this gap in Nigeria. So there's a few of those as well. And again, my colleague Afolabi will talk more about that. We also do enabling finance, recognizing how big the problem is. No matter how big our fund size is, it's not even close to that. The amount needed to kind of completely close the energy access gap. And so we do at times co-invest with others into funds, so that we can crowd in other capital, and then we can actually, our money then can scale much further. And so we're invested in a few funds, and then finally enabling environment, and that's where we basically try to strategically work with partners to make the ecosystem for the off-grid sector a lot more attractive. And so this could be, that we fund some research. It could be that we fund awareness programs, which is where many of you can come in. It's where we fund capacity building. There's going to be thousands and thousands of jobs thousands and thousands of skilled workers that are needed for this space that we need to help train. On and on and on and on. And so that's the work that we do under enabling environment. So once you put all four of these together, then we're working hard to address this massive gap for Nigeria, in the hopes that by 2030, us and all the others that are working in this space will be able to significantly enough close the gap that some of these socioeconomic issues that Nigeria faces will be able to start moving in the right direction. So thank you very much, and let me hand back over to Adobe.
Reba, thank you so much. Always so succinct. I don't know how you always tell this story in under 20 minutes, but you do it very well. So thank you. So I'd like us to now watch a short video that further illustrates and brings to life, the stories around our business that Weber has so wonderfully articulated. So, Wisdom, we have a video,
Yeah,
about 2 minutes.
coming up in a minute.
Thank you.
Okay. Please confirm there was sound. Did you hear?
Briefly, yes, there was.
Okay. Energy is everything.
The sound is gone now, Wisdom.
Allon was started by Shell. It was set up as an independent company limited by guarantee here in Nigeria, where Shell has put in money but cannot get any return from it. They wanted to do something significant to contribute to national development. And over a period of time, they basically realized, look, power, air, energy access is really the foundational development problem in Nigeria. We're set up to basically invest in companies that are providing power solutions to low-income communities and SMEs. And these are companies that are, they're in a new industry, they're quite early stage, they're quite risky. A typical commercial investor would not invest in them.
I went to just the community explaining what the people power that has been provided to them has done. Just makes you realize how much of a problem you're solving.
We have sort of an outdated traditional grid system that cannot serve Nigeria for what Nigerians need. 90 million Nigerians are not even on the grid. Another 30, 40 million are getting less than 4 hours of power a day from the grid, which means they're what we call underserved. It's a huge population. And this population is already spending $20 billion a year on punitive power sources. So why not tap into that? Why not tap into that and provide clean energy solutions that are affordable, reliable, and that actually we are ourselves demonstrating the energy transition and putting our office on solar. It'll be the first Shell facility in Nigeria that is on solar. It's also exciting that our installation will be locally assembled panels by a homegrown entrepreneurial superstar.
When you improve your value, it gets to a point that no one can deny it. I achieved things with minimal resources.
If you actually understand the way Chooks has evolved as a businessman, if you want to interact with him, apart from taking on suggestion, he's so quick to act.
We're starting. It's going to take a couple of years to really get moving. And once it gets moving, and similar to the telecom story, it's
Okay. The video is over now.
Thank you.
Adobe.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you, guys. The audio wasn't great, but I think you get an idea of what we've done. It was just just pretty much explaining more around who we are and what we do, and some of our investees and the sort of impact that we're able to make. So what
The video is also available on our YouTube in case they need to watch it properly on our YouTube channel, all on Energy TV. Yeah.
what we'll do, Wisdom, is everything we share on this call we'll send out to everybody who was invited and has participated. So thank you. Okay. So the next thing on the agenda is you will now hear presentations from Allon's leadership teams. I'd like to first invite our investment manager, Afolabi Akinrugunde, who will take us through more of Allon's investment journey so far. Afolabi, the floor is yours for about 15 minutes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Adobe. Pleasure to be here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about something that's very, very dear to me, the great work we do here at Allon, especially within the investment space. Of course, the investment work we do also aligns with what everybody else does. There is more or less a common thread across what all the various departments and units in Allon does. What P&P does helps us get opportunities, and also the Allon Hub's work is also very key a key part of our pipeline generation and impact generation within this space. What you're looking at right now is basically a snapshot of our portfolio as a whole. You see that we operate more or less within 5 broad areas within this space. When Olon started operations, it was basically just 2 areas, but as of today, you can see that we've expanded that well into 5 areas, and we continue even as of today to look at other areas where we can expand and thereby look at opportunities to drive the energy access message, to drive the use of off-grid energy further within the Nigerian space and economy as a whole. What you see here is about 30 investees we have, and also 30 investments totally. You will see that we have investees in the mini grid space, in the solar energy system space, in the solar home system space, in the cold storage space, and also within the battery as a service space. By the end of this year, we expect to have achieved up to 50% growth in the number of our investments and up to 70% growth in the value of our investment commitment to the energy of grid space within Nigeria. In addition to growing the number of our investees from just about 10 in 2018, we have about 30 today. And we've also scaled our investment commitment from under 4 million in 2018 to well over $16 million today. In addition to the core investment activities that we carry out at Olon, it is key to note you would see the enablers, but in addition to those enablers, we also play a very catalytic role in facilitating third-party investment and the overall growth of the off-grid space within Nigeria. Our investment activities have facilitated over $60 million in additional investments, $60 million in additional investments and funding into the off-grid and renewable energy space in Nigeria since we commenced operations. This has been achieved by Olon helping to crowd in other investors into the investment opportunities. We've also used our investments to also activate value-adding grants to the space, or also working on the enabling finance activities via the funds where Olon can, for example, put in 2 million, and then other entities can put in 5, 6, 8, 10, 20 million as a whole to actually drive much more greater scaling opportunities, scaling financing opportunities to companies which operate within this space. A key thing to also note, which is what I mentioned earlier, that when we joined, when we came into this space, it was basically mini grids and SHS systems. Everybody, but if you're talking about off-grid in Nigeria, you were either talking about mini grids and SHS systems. But as a way of seeing how to drive this further, we've looked at solar energy systems. We've looked at how to also support the expansion of the space as a whole. Battery as a service is something which entered our portfolio last year and is growing significantly. That segment did not even exist at all before 2020, and is one which is key now. Cold storage is also one which as of today is actually centralized. We're also looking at how can we decentralize this in such a way that you can even have cold storage available almost next door. You know, your ladies who are selling fish, who are selling coke, who are selling things. How can they have access to cold storage without having to decentralize it as a whole? So these are the concepts which we continue to look at, and which we continue to see how can we expand this space? How can we expand the conversation in terms of investment opportunities, in terms of having energy touch the direct people who are at the forefront, at the coalface, who need that energy to enable them have better access to food, have better access to the needs, to energy, to charge their phones, to run their businesses, to charge their clippers for them to work as barbers and what have you. So it is something that is very, very critical to us. It's also very, very important to note that we don't do this alone. We do this in conjunction and in partnership with some of the most reputable development finance institutions, impact investors, government agencies, fund managers, and banks, who we work with in conjunction to unlock the immense value in the off-grid energy space in Nigeria. We very often, many of the entities which enjoy some of the World Bank, NEP, National Electrification Program grants in Nigeria are actually entities which a good number of them have secured financing from Olon, and that NEP grant is actually results based. So that means that you need to deliver up to a certain level before you can activate that funding. So if there's nobody to actually provide that initial funding, these entities cannot secure that additional grant funding to enable them to do the good work that they do and to make their businesses and their projects much more value adding and commercially viable. So that is something that we're very, very proud of. I will now go on to the next slide, which will then talk about the spread of our portfolio. Yes, this slide. The slide that you're looking at here talks about the spread of our portfolio. As you know, from what you're seeing there, I'm not very good at colors. But you can see that we have a very, very strong spread within the Niger Delta area, which of course is key to us as a result of our shell linkage and provenance. We continue to look at how to drive. Of course, we will always be happy to invest in opportunities that have a pan-Nigeria focus, but where we have opportunities to drive as much energy access, drive or energy access within the Niger Delta area, we will seize that as much as possible. And you see that we have our investments are within all of the geopolitical zones in Nigeria. We are particularly proud of our mini grid portfolio. As of today, we are the largest mini grid investor in Nigeria in terms of the size of our portfolio. Many of the companies which we have invested in are the leaders in this space and have gone on to do mini grids in many key parts of the country. And we're very, very proud of that. We've helped to stabilize that space as a whole and also make it a key part of even the Nigerian government's electrification agenda as a whole. And that is something which myself and the rest of the Olo team are very, very proud to have been a part of. And the key thing also is that as we go on into mini grids, we also continue to look at the possibility of us also not just looking at mini grids alone, but also looking at things like enablers, which will facilitate the entire industry as a whole. We have a solar assembly company within our portfolio, that is Oxano, the premier solar assembly key functioning solar assembly company within Nigeria today. We continue to look at opportunities to build that ecosystem and domesticate that ecosystem for the energy access space within Nigeria. If you can begin to look at how do we have our own assemblies for solar panels within Nigeria, how do we have our own factories, our own assemblies for things like inverters in Nigeria. If you continue to ask ourselves, how do we also find a way to link off grid? I think that was the discussion Weber and I have been having in the last three months. How do we continue to link, not just beyond these 5 segments we have? How do we continue to link off grid solar renewable energy with agriculture, for example? Because as we know, a lot of Nigerians are working in that space. How do we link it with food distribution? How do we link it with other productive use elements of the economy, which as of today are primarily off-grid? So how do we link it to those grids? How do we use it to generate value such that off-grid energy is not just energy for its own sake, but energy that helps to drive food access, to drive commercial activity, to drive logistical improvement in the total food eco chain, in the food value chain, in the total Nigerian economy. So those are the questions we're beginning to ask ourselves. How do we also continue to drive down unit costs of getting solar out, which is then linked to the question, to the point I made earlier about domesticating some of the elements of this solar ecosystem within Nigeria. We don't always have to import all the panels. Can we assemble, start with assembling, then move further up that value chain to actually manufacturing ourselves? How do we, for example, also look at how do we manage the battery? These are the questions we are asking ourselves. How do we take off all the batteries which are existing in this space, manage them in such a way that they do not affect the environment? Those are the questions we are asking ourselves as we look towards 2022, as we look towards enabling the growth of this space and ensuring that many more Nigerians enjoy access to energy. I'll be happy to take on the questions, or maybe we'll move that to the tail end of the conversation. Thank you very much, everybody. Pleasure being here again.
Afolabi, thank you so much. Yes, I'm sure there'll be questions for you a little bit later. But By the way, audience, our portfolio is growing as we sit here. Afolabi, I imagine that some of these slides you just presented will be edited by the next time we have this engagement with our media partners to include more growth numbers. So media partners, keep watching our investment space. Thank you, Afolabi. I'd now like to introduce our All-On Hub manager, Sele Inegbidion, who will talk us through the All-On Hub and the very direct support we are giving to entrepreneurs and businesses in this space. Sele, the floor is yours for about 15 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Adobe. Please confirm you can hear me, first of all.
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Good morning to the distinguished members of the press. It's great to have you here. And as my colleagues have shared already, express our pleasure to be able to share what we are doing in this space and in the sector. So following on from my colleague Afolabi on the investment side, I am presenting the activities of the All-On Hub. I manage the All-On Hub. As Weber mentioned in his initial remarks, the Hub is funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. So it's a partnership with All-On to provide technical assistance and other non-financial support to our investee businesses, but to a broader ecosystem of early stage businesses as well. The idea for the Hub was actually envisaged about just over 2 years ago, when it became clear that yes, it's one thing to invest money into businesses in this sector, but given that the sector that we are operating in, particularly the off-grid sector, is very nascent and the developers operating in that space are very early stage themselves, there's a need to enable the businesses and develop the businesses further to be able to utilize the funding that they receive, deliver more impact in terms of connections and powering communities, households and businesses in order to even attract more investors. Hence the hub was set up. Now on screen what you see is an overview of how we are structured in terms of the businesses that we support. The left column of the table categorizes the businesses that we support into ideation, angel, growth, and market entry. The first three categories, ideation, angel, growth, these are various segments of early stage, and these are indigenous businesses, Nigerian-owned businesses, or predominantly Nigerian-owned businesses operating in Nigeria. The market entry stage of businesses are usually established foreign businesses that are looking to enter the Nigerian market, and we at All-On feel that there is potential for them not only to impact the sector, but also through synergies with our own local companies, amplify that work that they're doing. Market entry also includes local businesses that perhaps until now are working in a tangential space that are looking to pivot into the renewable energy sector. So we cater to all of these categories of businesses. And we do this through a number of approaches. For our very early stage businesses, the ideation stage, we run 6-month programs, incubation type programs, because essentially these are entrepreneurs who have great concepts and great ideas and have not necessarily developed a prototype yet. They've not necessarily built or developed a business yet. For a lot of them, this is their first business. And so we take them through the rudiments of what it means to set up a business, build a team, identify your actual market, identify your problem or articulate the problem, and make sure that the solution you're developing actually meets that problem. Putting all of this together, it gives the entrepreneurs a better sense and visibility of what it is they're trying to do. And at the end of the 6-month program, the idea, or the hope rather, is that they are able to then start working with a lot more clarity on their prototypes and the solutions that they're going to be deploying into the sector. We do this in partnership with a number of local organizations. which I will speak to a little bit later in the next slide. The angel stage business, the way we run that, again, is through a structured program in partnership with an international organization. Now here, what we're looking for with angel stage businesses, because these are businesses that have been operating for, let's say, about a year, 2 years. They've successfully developed a prototype, have run 1 or 2 successful pilots, and have been able to prove concept. And so here they propose a project. They identify a community that their solution addresses a problem to, and then they present this to us. Now these companies go through quite a robust assessment process, but along the way they also get the benefit of receiving some financial modeling support, some due diligence exercise, which they also benefit from because it exposes areas for development in their businesses. At the back end of this program, successful businesses with viable solutions get awarded $100,000 by the sponsors of the program. And then we have the growth stage businesses. These are more mature businesses, the likes of Oxano, for instance, which you heard about already, who've been running steady state for quite a while, have demonstrated, strong operations. We probably will have invested in these businesses by now. And for these businesses, they are now looking for that next level of larger ticket investments that will help them scale their operations exponentially. And so for growth stage businesses and the angel stage businesses, once they pass through that program, what we provide them is more dedicated functional support. So we look at their strategy, we look at their business plans, we see how they can optimize their operations to help reduce costs. We look at their marketing strategy to see how they can reach further into the marketplace. And then we also help them with, at the time they are ready to raise funding, we help them with everything that they require to become investor ready. This means understanding what investors want to see and setting up their operations, setting up their governance structures, setting up their financials in a manner that makes them attractive and compelling to investors. For the market entry stage businesses, again, like I said, these are pretty established businesses. So the sort of support that they need is specific intelligence in the Nigerian market and the sector and the industry. Some of them who are looking to set up operations locally will need guidance on how to go about incorporating an entity. We support them with that as well. We've renovated our offices so that once we're allowed to return to the office, it now is available to some of these entities as well, who have personnel on ground that need a place to work from, for a short period of time, whether it's a day, a week, or up to 3 months. In a nutshell, that's what we do. The next slide will talk about the partners that we do our work with, or we deliver our work with. Our team is a very lean team, so even though the impact of what we do is quite significant, it's only achievable because of all the many key partnerships that we have. So for instance, incubation support for ideation businesses. We partner with the Nigerian Climate Innovation Center, NCIC. I believe the CEO, Bankole, is on the call, and hopefully you'll be able to share a few words as well about our partnership and their work. And we also partner with the Clean Tech Innovation and Acceleration Foundation, CTIAF, or the Clean Tech Hub. They help to facilitate the programs that I mentioned earlier about for the ideation stage businesses. Short-term office space, I mentioned. Functional support, which I described earlier. We have partnerships with PwC, cross-boundary and international financial advisory firm that helps with financial modeling and such like. Denton's ACAS Law, providing legal advisory services, and Nelson Reeds, providing branding and marketing services. Other partners include Rockefeller Foundation, USADF, with whom we run the Angel Stage program. And then we also utilize, obviously, our partners, our colleagues in-house, Afalabi's investment management team and Adobe's policy and partnership team. Wisdom, please, onto the next slide. So this final slide of mine is just a snapshot of what our portfolio looks like today, our support portfolio. Since the hub became operational just over 18 months ago, we have over 50 ventures now that we provide support to. The businesses cut across, if you look at the lower left chart, they cut across various technology solutions, so solar home systems, mini grids, battery as a service, cold storage manufacturing, and a lot of new technology innovations as well. One thing that we also focus on is one of the key metrics that we focus on is women involvement, and we try to create as much awareness as possible to ensure that women engineers, women entrepreneurs begin to play a key role in this space. So we also track, as the bar chart shows, how many of our supported businesses are led or managed or owned by women, and this is something that we try to improve upon from program to program. The graphic on the right just provides further snapshot of the number of businesses, so what that we've actually sort of impacted since we've been operating for the past 18 months. So whilst we have the 50 ventures in our portfolio, we've actually delivered support to as many as 62 businesses at entrepreneur or ideation level, and provided a small grant of $10,000 to 23 of those businesses. By the end of this year, it'll be 30 businesses. That $10,000 grant is to enable businesses develop their prototypes. Angel stage businesses, we have 51 that we provide support to, and we've provided funding in partnership with USADF to 8 of those businesses. That will be as many as 20 by the end of this year. And then we have about 14, 15 growth and market entry businesses in our portfolio. I'll just finalize by saying that the unique thing about the hub, in terms of our operations, is that we are very conscious about creating a pipeline continuum. You have a number of organizations that provide support, but either focus on one space. It might just be technical assistance to tertiary education graduates or to young budding entrepreneurs, and then it ends there, or providing financial advisory support to mature businesses, and it ends there. What we are trying to do is make sure that the businesses in our ideation stage, they will benefit from us, from the support that we're providing, and become the natural organic feeders into our angel stage program, into our growth stage program. And these are the businesses that Afolabi's investment team and other investors in the ecosystem will look to invest in as they continue to do the good work of closing the energy access gap. I will leave it there. I'm happy to take questions during the Q&A session, and I will pass back to you, Adobe. Thank you very much.
Sele, thank you very much. I wanted to make a quick point, touch on something you sort of glossed over, but I'd like our audience to really understand that our gender agenda is not something that's mandated by Shell or anybody. This is something that our CEO, our leadership team, all on as a community are very deliberate about, and unapologetic, quite frankly, about female inclusion in all our programs. So Sele, thank you again. I'll let you catch your breath very quickly in preparation for additional questions I know people will have about the work being done through the hub in support of the businesses in your portfolio. gosh, it's 10:50. We're almost 50 minutes in. We've heard a lot between Weba's presentation, the all-on video, and the presentations from our hub and investment managers. And I have a strong feeling, because I saw a few hands, certainly Mary's hand was up while Saleh was speaking. I have a strong feeling some of you may have questions. So let's take a 15 to 20-minute break from talking at you to listening to you, and taking any questions on what you have heard so far. So Wisdom, I'm going to hand this Q&A segment over to you. How are we running this?
Okay, thank you, Adobe. So, Mary, I see your hand up. I'll enable your mic now. For other persons, if you want to ask any question, just raise your hand and I will unmute your mic. Before we take Mary's questions, please, it would be nice to have all our press people go to the chat box. We want to know your name and the media house you're coming from, because I see that some people are using a device that doesn't show clearly what their name is. If you can help us, go to the chat box, just put your full name and then the media house you're coming from. I won't mind if you also add your email address, just in case. Okay, so I will enable the mic now for Mary, so you can ask your questions, your name and the media house you're coming from, and then you can ask your question. Mary, you can unmute your mic now. Mary, if you're speaking, you're still muted. You can unmute your mic. Okay, I'm not sure Mary can hear us clearly, but if you need to speak, you can unmute your mic. I just unmuted it from this side. You need to unmute from your end. Any more questions from anybody? Just use the raise hand feature, and I'll see you, and then I will unmute your mic, and you can ask your question. Mary, if you can still hear me, you're muted in case you're speaking. Okay, I think she dropped off now. All right, Ebon, you can unmute your mic now and speak.
People seem to have trouble unmuting or speaking, so also we'll encourage people to type your questions in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ebon, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, Ebon now.
Yes, Ebon can hear you now. Go on. Your name and the media house you're coming
fine. My name is Ebonluwa from Vanguard Newspapers.
Okay, go on, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Go on with your
I
question.
just want to find out. Adobe said the all-on is deliberate about, encouraging women, especially in renewable energy. I just want to find out how all-on is going to do this in ensuring that the women in the market, those the grassroots level get this initiative and have benefits in all of this, because if we cannot get the business down to those who are, it's like a effort in utility.
Sorry, Ebon, you were breaking a bit, so it was hard to get your exact question.
Okay, I was just asking the deliberate attempts by Olon to get this initiative to the grassroots. The people in the market, the women selling bolu, selling guguru, selling plantain chips and all that. So because I was saying, if we cannot get the initiative down to the grassroots, it's like effort in utility. So what exactly, how deliberate is Olon in ensuring that in the next few years, this initiative is applauded by women at the grassroots level?
Well, thanks for that question. I'll address some of that in my presentation, which is later on. But from an investment and hub point of view, Saleh and Afolabi, do you want to add anything to that? So in addition to being, sorry, go ahead. So we're very deliberate about female inclusiveness, and we don't make any apologies for that. We do have female targets. During my presentation, I'll talk about some of the training things we've done, some of the partnerships that we have, that we're currently in to take the messages out in a very non-traditional way. So we're not just talking to, very well-versed journalists and, people in the sector, but I'll talk more about that in my piece. So if Afolabi or Sele have anything to add based on the hub and investment, that'd be good at this time. But Ebu, I will come back to your question.
Ebu, thank you for your question. So from the hub's point of view, there are two angles from which we sort of approach this. One is the actual women engineers and entrepreneurs that are delivering the energy solutions, and then the second angle is the beneficiaries. So as in terms of the first, the programs that we run, particularly ideation and angel, baked into some of the criteria, baked into the criteria that we have for participation and acceptance into the programs. There is there's some preference and some incentive that is given to women entrepreneurs and women owners of said businesses. And from the point of view of beneficiaries as well, of the energy solutions, as you mentioned, women traders in the open markets and other such, like, households led by women, for instance. Again, this is also one of the requirements that well, not a requirement necessarily, but it's one of the criteria that we ask and we check during our questionnaire process in our applications for business opportunities into the Angel Stage program. It's something that we and our partner USADF, are very, it's something that we want to see supported and put through. So those businesses who can demonstrate that their solutions are actually going to be benefiting specific communities that are women, where there's a lot of women-led activities, and they are able to back that up, they get a higher prioritization from the All-On Hub. There are also other things initiatives that we are looking at to the future, not yet in place, but certainly conversations that we're having in partnership with the Rockefeller Foundation, with NCIC, about how we actually now dive deeper to the grassroots level, student level, to ensure that there's greater awareness from females and their participation and their interest in the sector, because it's the interest today that it's from the interest today that you will see the results in the next 2, 3, 4 years. So it's something that we continue to be committed to.
All right, thank you, Sele.
Thank you, Sele. I think Falabi here.
Okay.
So to just add to that again, it's going to be what we also do in terms of our governance roles within our investee companies, within the companies which we invest into. WIBA sits on the board of some of those companies. I sit on the board of some of those companies. We also have rights within those companies, and we basically ensure that as much as possible, these companies bring on as much female talent within their leadership team, within the operational teams of these companies. We try as much as possible to even sit on interviews to ensure that there is a balance. We don't have 10 men or 10 male candidates looking at a job. We ask, where are the female candidates for these roles, and we continue to push to ensure that not only All-On, but even as much as possible, even the companies that we invest in have as much female talent within them. Then in terms of the actual human benefit, the beneficiaries, which my colleague Sele mentioned earlier, women, females are really the backbone of unofficial market in Nigeria. They are the ladies, they are the people who run the markets, they are the people who run the shops. And many of our investees have women more or less as their key partners within their value chain, and that is something which we continue to look at. Our recent announcement of our investment in Infi branches, for example, more than 60% of its agents, of its agent banking agents are actually females. These are females who are running this business as part of their provision stores, of their clothes stores, or whatever, or even setting it up as a business in its own. And it's something which we are very, very proud of, and to ensure that for every solar home system, for every solar payment, which these women also facilitate, a good chunk of that payment also get into their own pockets. And as they also continue to look at growing that portfolio, we continue to see how to ensure that a good chunk of that, because we've seen also that for many of these roles, it is actually more female oriented. It's females who can sit down, have the patience to manage a customer, work with that customer, sell that product. Many men are really just want to go about, like the CEO of Oxano mentioned once, that there are some roles in this company that a lot of the females are much more oriented to. They have the patience, they can sit down, calculate. The men are more, okay, let's go and build that thing, let's go and jump. But the females can sit down, calculate, okay, how do we measure this? How do we do that? So it is important for companies that we invest in to have that benefit of both the benefit of having the male and the female, the intellect of the two, the attitudes of the two, the skills of the two blended together. So we do that at both the investee level and also in terms of the final beneficiaries in the market. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Afolabi. I think we still have some few minutes for more questions, for like one or two questions. If you have any question, please just raise your hand and I will unmute your mic to ask your question. Like I said before, we would like to meet all of you in the chat box. Please, your name and the media house you're coming from, and if you can add your email, that would be very nice. So we just don't miss that. It's important. Everybody on the call, please try to your name. Let's meet you your name and email address and media house you're coming from. Okay. So questions. If no questions, so we'll assume everybody is understanding all that has been said. Adobe, I don't know if you want to move on.
Sure, I'm happy to.
No question.
I'm surprised we're talking to journalists and we're begging for questions. Okay, it means we're communicating. Yeah. Thank you for that wisdom, and thank you for the question, Ebu, and thank you, Afolabi and Sele, for answering.
I think Ebu has another question.
Oh, Ebu has a question. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Ebu, please unmute. Ask your question, please. Ebu, your mic is muted if you're speaking. Ebu, can you hear us? I don't know if she can hear. Maybe Adobe, you can.
Okay, Ebu, if you can hear us, why don't you type your question in the chat box and then we can come back to it. We do have another Q&A session before the end, so happy to do that. Yeah. So thanks everyone for the questions you answered so far. Let me just continue now. So audience, you've heard context, the why behind All-On, the challenges we've set out to tackle. You've heard about our investment activities and the breadth of our growing portfolio. You've also heard about the hub and how All-On is bringing in green entrepreneurs, nurturing them and providing business support to help them grow. I'd now like to talk about the fourth prong of our delivery model. The team that I lead is policy and partnerships. I'd like to very quickly go through what we do and what our portfolio of partners looks like with a few examples. So I'm going to stay on this one slide for a minute. So our role in a nutshell is to support the work of the investment, finance, and hub teams with a goal to increase, with a goal to create an enabling environment for the sector while raising awareness by amplifying impact stories, which is where you all, members of the media, come in. So we do a couple of things. In terms of regulation, we don't work directly with government to influence policy. We don't do that. Rather, we provide grants to support organizations who work to shape policy and laws within the sector. I'll give you an example. We provided a grant to the Clean Tech Incubation and Acceleration Fund, CTIAF, to produce a piece of work that was pretty much a simplified guide to Nigeria's energy access policies and regulations. So in other words, the laws and regulations in support of the sector that exist, hundreds of pages of documents that stakeholders in the sector like yourselves were not even aware existed. I mean, some of these documents were hundreds of pages of technical language. So the grant we provided to CTIAF reviewed and summarized several policy documents dating back to the early 2000s, actually, and just cut them down to like 10 manageable pages for regular people like you and I to understand. I mean, the Nigerian government has mini-grid regulation, even policy on climate change dating back to 2013. So the simplified documents were a great learning experience for us at Allon. These documents are available online on our website and the CTIAF website for your use and reference. Again, everything we talk about today, any link that's discussed will be shared with you all later. We also do research. As part of our awareness building activities, we commission research to provide up-to-date information on policy, regulation, the economic gaps in a sector that we keep saying is new and growing. Because it's a growing sector, understandably, we lack data on everything from the numbers of female professionals, Ebu, in the sector, to cost analysis on diesel generators versus mini grids, just for example. We also support industry convenings, both locally and internationally, and we've supported annual events held here by the NESG, the Nigeria Economic Forum, and Business Day locally. Internationally, we've partnered with the Sustainable Energy for All and a global alliance under the International Growth Center. So, you know, we are very active. You know, we're always in search of partnerships locally and internationally to be able to create opportunities through convenings for not only our investees, but stakeholders in the sector. For example, we're providing support to WIMBIZ to co-host the CEO roundtables, and this is a direct effort to attract and engage more female participation in the sector. Some of you, I've seen some of you have attended 2 of the events held this year, and you've given them great coverage. So again, I'm thanking you for all the ones you are doing and encouraging you to do more. Building awareness. Ebu, this is where I said I would come back to. So what we're doing a lot to help address questions about grassroots and women. So we partner with organizations with a wide reach to spread awareness on our investee businesses, as well as sector activities in general. And by the way, we're thinking out of the box. I told you all earlier that our mandate on gender is not mandated by Shell or anybody. This is having a CEO and a leadership team that is being allowed to think out of the box and to just make things work as best we can. So we recently gave the Markangel Company a grant to produce skits that feature the benefits of solar. I imagine many of you have laughed at Emanuela's antics. Well, I want you to watch this space. Emmanuel and Uncle Mark, they come, Emanuela and Uncle Mark, they come to educate Una about why everybody is supposed off gen and switch to solar. So watch that space. Sorry. What else? We also support the Power Solutions radio show on Nigeria FM and Wazobia, which is now syndicated throughout the country in Pidgin English. So Ebu, to answer your question, not everyone listens to radio, but I think that's also another avenue with which we are reaching a wider audience, people in rural areas, people who aren't just in the big cities. Finally, on human capital development, this is an area we commit funds, time, and efforts to. Ultimately, guys, this sector cannot grow if we are not identifying and nurturing local talent. It's that simple. So we've provided training to youths in the Niger Delta specifically to improve the quality of talent in this sector. An example, we've recently partnered this year with a company called Energy Talent Company that provides world-class training to graduates in the Niger Delta. But our grant to ETC isn't just to recruit and train solar talent. Successful candidates don't just receive world-class training. More importantly, the program identifies brilliant youths and helps them providing them with much needed employment. So this is not just training. It's all well and good to train people, lots of qualified Nigerians running around with no jobs. So this is a grant where there is a target to actually place people in employment. And this grant is actually another one of our female-friendly grants. Is also the grant stipulates that at least a 50% female participation target is met. So lots around women and gender, because just as all on people, we understand and we appreciate the importance of making sure that women are at the seat, have a seat at the table very early on. That's the advantage of being new and being nascent. We have the power and the capacity and the desire to be as inclusive from the get-go. We're also being very deliberate, this refers to you guys, in training you members of the press, because let's face it, you guys ultimately have to be responsible for telling the stories about the social impact work in Nigeria, locally and internationally. So you guys are the ones who hold the pen. You guys are the ones who are going to go out and tell the world everything you've heard, what Olon is doing, because if not, yeah, we're working, we're creating impact, a few people get to hear about it, but ultimately you guys have the power of the pen, and we do depend on you guys to learn this industry, to to be able to tell stories accurately, to understand the industry, and go about doing the work of raising awareness. Another example, in partnerships with RIAN, the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, we held a successful media training in March of this year. I know some of you on this call were at that training and received certificates. Taiwo Obe, who many of you know is the founder and director of the Journalism Clinic, facilitated the half-day session. So I know that people from Vanguard, Business Day, Energy Intelligence were in attendance and received Olon and the Journalism Clinic certificate. So again, thank you. When we invite you to these things and you show up and you learn, it's a win-win. So I thank you again for that. We do want to encourage you to do more in order to work with us in this important sector, and raising awareness of the strides and impact being made by Nigerians in this sector. Next slide, please. I'd like to now briefly touch on an initiative that is very close to all our hearts at Olon. This came about as a result of the impact we made at the start of the COVID pandemic last year through our COVID Relief Fund, which provided solar to health facilities and health workers around the country as part of the national effort. So we are a passionate bunch in this organization, and we wanted to do more. We saw that we saw the impact we were doing as an organization, and many of us wanted to do more. So again, because we have a CEO and an LT that is always listening, open to new out-of-the-box ideas, we all came up with the Social Solar Initiative, which provides free solar to social sector organizations around the country. The way this works is Olon and Shell, and again, we're seeded by Shell, so you hear Shell a fair amount. We are an independent company seeded by Shell, but Shell is one of our funders. So Olon and Shell staff identify a project. Again, it has to be non-government, non-government. It has to provide a social service. It cannot be an organization that any of us who propose the projects can benefit from. We provide either individually or pooled funding, 25% of the seed funding to make this project work. An internal committee reviews the proposals, and if you meet all the requirements, Olon and Shell will provide the rest of the funding to implement. I mean, this is an opportunity to provide work to our investees as well, because by the way, the only people who can do this work are Olon, the only people who can provide the services are Olon investees who are able and willing and capable, of course. The slide is not updated. Again, I apologize for that, but we've done a lot more than the elder care home in Port Harcourt, which is now completed. Our pipeline of approved projects currently includes proposals to be carried out by 5 of our investees. Beneficiaries include women, children, students, patients across the country, from the Niger Delta to Taraba State. We've done work in Makoko, we've done work in Port Harcourt. So yeah, we're reaching the grassroots as well through our social solar program. So guys, I want you to watch this space as well. Lots of remarkable stories coming out of this social solar work. My next slide and last slide actually is just a snapshot of the caliber of prominent Nigerians who have spoken positively about the work that Allon is doing. So members of the press, the truth is Allon's business is newsworthy content, right? And you should all want to be reporting about the sector in general. You guys have a great responsibility actually to work with us as partners to grow, nurture this sector. You have a responsibility to be responsible in the way you report. In other words, learning, communicating with us, learning, taking advantage of opportunities that we provide, such as this, to learn the industry, to ask questions that equip you to go about reporting. Okay, I don't know if I did up to 10 minutes, but I think you've probably heard enough from us. I'm a believer that you don't tell me, show me. So we're going to do a show and tell here. We have representatives from 2 of our investee companies on the call. We will now give brief presentations on what the organizations are doing. Our first speaker is Bankole Oloruntoba, who is the CEO of the Nigeria Climate Innovation Center, NCIC. Bankole, I know you're one of the first dialers in, so thank you. We will take your presentation now.
Everyone, my name is Bankole Oloruntoba. Thank you for the introduction. For us, anything that has to do with Allon is a very important part of our lives. Just to give a quick insight on who we are and what we've been. So the NCIC was set up in 2018 as part of the World Bank Climate Technology Program in partnership with the government of Nigeria through the Vice President's office. And the first organization who ever got interested in us was Allon. And the whole essence of setting up the NCIC, according to the World Bank, is to spur the growth of a green economy in Nigeria. So that means that we want to look for innovation businesses and as well support SMEs that are also trying to transit or use renewable energy possibilities across the country. For us, since 2018, we have been involved in quite a number of programs and projects. Our flagship incubation program has been supported by Allon, which is the embryo program. But all through what we have done, we have been focusing on about 4 major areas of green economy innovation, which again from our slides here, you can see renewable energy as the biggest and the highest of priority. So we know that a lot of other areas of focus relates with renewable energy in the best possible ways that you can think, and that also includes circularity, which is recycling, water management and water solutions, and also climate smart agriculture. Now, for us, we know that these other 3 sectors relies a lot on renewable energy or can help to also provide renewable energy. So at the NCIC, all what we have been doing so far in the past 3 years is also finding and building green ventures in Nigeria, anchoring green economy ecosystem. You can go to the next slide. Anchoring green economy ecosystem in Nigeria, and also positioning Nigeria as a climate tech, clean tech investment destination. And all this we have done, basically from the different programs that we've run. Like I said, the embryo program is our flagship incubation program, which is always looking for early stage business ideas, in each and every of this focus. And so with Allon joining us, what we did together is to create a program that is renewable energy focused. And this again we couldn't have achieved without the all-round support of Allon. So in this case, we look for renewable energy focused innovation-driven enterprises, some at an ideation stage, others at maybe prototyping stage, or rather market entry stage. And what we do is to take them through 6 months incubation program, which Sele also mentioned during his presentation. And during this 6 months program, we look at their businesses, we look at their business model, we look at their product fit, we look at their team, we see how how functional they are as a group, and also how functional their product is. For as much as we're not trying to cut away any type of idea because of its relevance, we always try to look for ideas that are low technology adoption focused and also mass market focused. So if you look through the different components of startups that we have invested in, or rather granted through the All-On $10,000 grant, all of them have similarities because they are low tech and mass market focused. And so in doing this for the past 3 years, we have given $10,000 to 16 businesses. And these 16 businesses, they are doing very well, and they cut across different things that you can find, from solar IoT to also gas dispensing, also to solar irrigation.
Sorry, can you confirm? Do you see the slides?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Continue, please.
I see the slides.
Okay.
So these 16 businesses cut across different sectors, and so when we're picking this business, we make sure that this business also have some form of quickness to market, no matter how the different stage that they're in, and they're able to start engaging the market and also provide it to customers as quick as possible. Each of these 16 businesses cut across different parts of the country. So we are not just a Lagos-focused, incubation center. We also have, ventures coming in all the way from Kano, from Kwara, from Owerri, Enugu, and Co. And so we have supported all these businesses also after the $10,000 which they get. We also support them with post incubation services, linkages, advice to the market, advisory on teams, and also market engagement in any way. So if you look at the kind of impact numbers that we have, which you can go to the next slide. So to buttress my conversation, in these past 3 years, we have had over 700 applications, and 32, if you count the pilots that we had initially in 2019 or 2018, 2019, I think, the pilots we had, so we can total it to about 43 right now, ventures that All-On has supported us, supported us with. And out of all this group, we have given $10,000 to 16 of them, which has made made it $160,000. So again, we are also deliberate about women program, but also we don't want to cut across and say, we don't want to overlook a product, and not giving a chance to someone who's got a functional product. But for out of all the different women who have engaged in all these different programs, 6 of them have come out tops, and without any special special attention given to them. They have come out tops of their different groups. And so because of this issue, the NCIC has gone ahead to set up a program called G5. And the G5 is focused on green ventures that are being managed by women. So the G5 program, which is not part of the Embryo program, is deliberately focused on raising female entrepreneurs or green ventures owned by women, and also supply business leadership program around it. So if I'm going to give a quick story about one of the funders that we have, I would love to share the Quad Loop story. So Quad Loop here for us sort of embodies what NCIC talks about, and also helps to answer that question that Ebonlua was saying about, was asking about how do you draw this down to people at the bottom of the pyramid, and also, people within within your everyday works. So Quad Loop here for us came through our doors with, with practically something totally different, about what he wants to achieve. With just a concept note and a few schematics here and there. What we took him through, we took him through 6 months to also help him understand how to leverage on quite a number of things to build, the kind of product that, that he wanted. So Quad Loop went ahead. He won the $10,000 grant, used that $10,000 grant to launch his new product, which is the Idunu product, eco-friendly solar lamp that you can find. Now, the reason why we call it an eco-friendly one is because he basically uses recycled materials for every single thing, from the battery to the solar PV, also to the plastics that you see around it. Everything is recycled. And so because of this, again, he's got a functional model whereby when you put on the the remote sensor side of the lamp, you can use any remote control in your house, to put on and to put off the lamp. So you can use your TV remote, you can use your your cable remote, no matter the level of remote you have in your house, it can work. But so the reason why we think the Quad Loop story is very essential is because, again, he looks at solving household challenges. He looked at solving people at the bottom of the pyramid so that smaller businesses can sell more. Because again, what we found out again is that when you power where sales are being made, then it is very easy for household also to transit into renewable energy. So Quad Loop story here helps us to look at how we can power smallholder businesses, smallholder farmers, small households in remote areas, who would like to leverage on on a very easy to buy and easy to access eco-friendly solar lamp. And all this he was able to achieve because of that $10,000 grant. So we always celebrate him also as an ambassador of the NCIC, and also sharing his story in every corner that we have. Also, to buttress a little bit and add a bit more stories, we have Eco Tutu. So Eco Tutu, as the name sounds, is that he's trying to manage post-harvest losses by creating cold room chains that is being powered by solar and also IoT. So he's providing each of these solar services to smallholder farmers in different communities, in Southwest Nigeria and also somewhere in the north. And what he now the new product that he's got now is having tricycle power, solar powered cold room chain that are on tricycles, so that also to help farmers be able to convey their product still fresh from the from the farmland to the market, and also extend shelf life. And then we have Spongebob Tech. So Spongebob Tech came in from the first pilot program that we had, and he uses solar to carry out irrigation services. And Spongebob Tech has got a new a small modular factory somewhere in Abuja where he produces all his components by himself. We love the work that he does, and he has supplied quite a number of farmers across the country, mostly in the northern part of the country. And I think a few months ago, we were able to get an inroad into Nursal with him, to also see, to also help to power a few of the farming communities that Nursal is also supporting. And then we have Vector Energy. Vector Energy is led by Yetunde Fadeyi. And what we enjoy about Yetunde's product again is that she has decentralized how energy can be accessed, knowing that currently we are all running a remote working community in Nigeria. Again, almost, if not all on staff are all working from home. And so for Vector, what Vector says is that you don't have to buy the very huge solar and all those different things that you need to impute into your house, but you can get a box that can power that can power your computer, that can power your fan, that can power your phone, and at least you can get a decent work done, without having to break an arm and a leg. Is, like I said, it's been led by Yetunde, and also Yetunde is looking at other forms of managing carbon credits in the different parts of the lifespan of her business. And then we have Solar. Solar, for us here, we see that because we know that solar panels are always static in one way or the other, and again, accessing adequate energy from the sun sometimes becomes a challenge, because once the sun shifts, you don't get that adequate sunlight reach. Again, when it's also being cloudy. But with what Solef has done, Solef has created an IoT device that helps to track the movement of the sun, so that whatever solar PV or panel that you have continues to follow the sun as the sun moves to the different sides of the globe. So we enjoy what SOLAF is doing, and we think that SOLAF's work in the long run can also help to support solar farms and several other bigger solar energy projects across Africa. And now HomeFort is kind of a bit different because it doesn't have solar attached to it. But HomeFort is looking at clean gas, or rather gas dispensing services. So because again we know that the price of gas has increased, what HomeFort has done is to create a dispenser, that is powered by IoT also, whereby you can buy gas as cheap as 500 naira. So you're not paying for the components for the equipment. All you're buying is the service. So again, HomeFort delivers you a gas with a dispenser on it, and then you can buy via your phone 1,000 naira service, and then you can use it once the 1,000 naira the service stops, sort of like as if you're buying power from the different power holding companies. So these are some of the notable stories that we can share with you. We still have about 30 more of them at the back end, which we are constantly trying to build over time. So for us at Allon, what we do when this business, for us at NCIC, what we do with these businesses again is that once the incubation process has gone through, we also support them with post-incubation support, and mostly for the grant winners. And so we look through things like their milestones, their how to achieve using that $10,000, even simple things as governance. So first things first, we will not pay you that money if it is registered in your name, right? It has to be a company. So because again, I mean, I came from the tech startup background, and we've seen lots of people win countless of grants, and these grants are given to them in their name, and these guys just share this money and then walk away and still continue to pitch without anything tangible to show for it. But for this sake, for this focus, we think it has to be totally different. So whenever this grant is being made, we make sure that a company is registered and that is paid into the company's account, and there's a governance structure that is beyond just one person signing for these funds. Also integrated, we integrate all these businesses into our NCIC 1000 ecosystem program, which we said that in the next 5 years we want to be able to put together a community of 1,000 green innovation or green businesses from Nigeria, and also explore other funding opportunities. So one of the things that we've done lately is to sign up a partnership with Lagos Angels Network to also push for more investment opportunities. But again, we know that Allon is always interested in these businesses as they grow. So we know that these businesses also have that potential of scaling up into the different stages of Allon financing financing interventions. Also, again, we create partnership and collaborations to sustain the impact that these businesses have been creating, like helping them understand the level of CO2 emissions that they are mitigating, also reducing, also helping them understand how to manage, how to solve, or rather how to classify the different solutions that they are providing in Nigeria. But all in all, we are always focused on having to help them create more jobs and create as much direct and indirect impact in everywhere that they go. So the NCIC, if we have shared it earlier, is located within the campus of the Lagos Business School, particularly in the building of the Enterprise Development Center, and we are very excited with this partnership, and we look for as much more collaborations as possible. Thank you very much. Over to you, Wisdom or Adobe.
Thank you, Bankole. Creating jobs, creating impact. Before I go on, can I just confirm with you publicly that your presentation is shareable and your contacts are shareable with your media friends?
Yes.
Excellent.
It is.
Guys, I'm going to go off script for just a minute. I just read something in the chat group that I need to make a public apology. When I said journalists are not asking questions, I didn't mean it in a disrespectful manner. It was taken that way, and that's all that matters. So I'm apologizing that my words offended. We invited a very intimate group of journalists, all of you. I think literally everybody we invited is here. We don't take it for granted. We appreciate your presence and the fact that you are multitasking. So my media friend, profuse apologies. It wasn't meant that way. Thank you. My second apologies, I misspoke. Our partnership is with Nigeria Info. That's 99.3 FM, not Nigeria. What did I say? I think I said Nigeria FM. So those two things I wanted to put out there before we go on. Thank you. Gosh, it's already 11:35. So our next speaker is, we have a representative from Oxano Solar Nigeria Limited. I believe Gabriel is on the line. Gabriel?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you, Adobe. Thank you, the Olon team, for making this forum available for us. My name is Gabriel, and I'm going to be speaking on behalf of the founder, MD, and CEO of Oxano Solar, who happens to be Chooks Umezulora. He would have loved to be part of this program, but unfortunately, he's not able to meet up at this particular time. So I'll be standing in for him. And I know I'm not going to take much of our time. I'm going to do justice to our story as quickly as possible. All right, so Oxano Solar, we are a renewable energy company. Our emphasis is on the upstream and midstream of the solar value chain, which is the solar PV manufacturing. We began this journey in 2014, and we hope to, our drive basically is just to make sure that there's a local circulation of solar modules within the Nigerian and Nigerian market. And this will help us to localize the supply value chain for solar PV in Nigeria. Next slide, please. All right, just like every other solar company, most of the drive that got us to where we are today are some of these market potentials you can see here. The unstable power supply from the grid, the excessive imports of solar PV into Nigeria from China. Those were the major two basic issues that gave this idea about Oxano Solar and bettered it. We also have other market potentials like the need for local supply chains, which we currently are working as hard as possible to be able to meet a huge chunk of the demand in that space. But the government commitment towards a renewable energy, and I know many of Olon team members have mentioned that. Even Adobe made reference to some documents that has been circulating since 2013. That drives solar inclusion in the Nigerian energy mix. And those are the major drivers that lead us to start this journey, that bettered the idea of Oxano Solar, and thank God we're here today. All right, next slide, please. All right, so I'll just give a brief of our history. This will just give us an overview of where we are coming from, and at what point in our journey we came in contact with Olon. All right, so we got incorporated in 2014, but just to mention before now, we have been in the industry. Our co-founder and CEO has been in the industry working at a different company though. And in the course of his experience, he has about 15 years experience in this space. In the course of his experience installing solar system, the idea of Oxano came into place and it got incorporated in 2014. And fast forward between 2014 and 2015, we got our major big recognition, which came in form of the Nigerian Energy Awards for innovation in the energy industry in Nigeria. That gave us a little bit of a recognition that spurred us on to look at other aspects of the industry where we can actually play in. And between 2015 and 2016, within that period, we had some challenges when it came to solar equipment being installed in the country. There were issues with quality. There were issues with so many issues that came with quality for the component for solar PV. And because of that, we decided to take the initiative to say, okay, why not we do something different? Instead of all these components coming in from Asia, mainly Asia at that time, why don't we look for alternatives locally that can actually compete with the quality that we're seeing in the market at that time? And at that period, we're thinking of, okay, let's get equipment that can test these products before they are deployed to their project sites. And we looked at it again and say, why decide to get those equipment when we can actually do the entire assembly line locally? And that is where the big idea of doing an assembly line for solar PV model came into place. And it's materialized in 2016. Towards the last quarter of 2016, we decided to set up the first PV manufacturing plant in Nigeria, located in Lagos, Navy Town to be precise. And at that time, we started as a 4.5 megawatt, and we'll see in the next few slides how far we've grown, coming in contact with Olon. Wisdom. Let me just finalize on that previous slide. All right. So first quarter of 2017, we decided to deploy the first phase of Oxano panels in the Nigerian market. And as any local manufacturing company, we had our own challenges. First of all, was to change this narrative that local is in quality. So we had some of those setbacks, and we were able to cross those hurdles. Yes, because we already have an experience, because we already have a kind of customer base from the installations we have done in the past, we decided to test run some of those Oxano models in some of the clients we were installing solar systems for at that time. That gave us the opportunity for us to test, run what we had, and to make sure we correct any flaws should they appear in the course of the deployment. So in 2017, we deployed the first batch of Oxano solar models to the market. All right, in 2018, fast forward 2018, at this point, we were having some little challenges getting funding to scale to that next level. You know, most of the funding we've had from inception 2014 to this point were funds raised from family and friends, you know, relatives that could buy into our ideas. So we had some little setbacks, struggles on how to get those major fundings that can take us beyond the level where we are. Like I mentioned earlier, we started with a 4.5 megawatt, and we needed so many, besides the financing, we also needed partnerships that can help us to create that right publicity that we needed, the credibility that we needed at that time. And here came Olon. And through the Olon and USADF Upgrade Challenge, we were a winner that year in 2018. And that was our first major investment when it came to any outside investment we got into Oxano at that particular time. And to that, we owe Olon a lot of credit for some of the successes and all the successes we have up to this point. Next slide, please. All right, so it's not enough to tell some of the impacts we have gotten from this partnership, but I've tried as much as possible for us to just put some of the few points here on this particular slide. So I'll just run them quickly. The first one is creditworthiness. All right, like I mentioned earlier, between 2014 and at the point where we met Olon, we raised most of our funding from friends, internal circles, no organization, no financial institution would even want to hear us. Why? Because first of all, we are new, we are local, the industry was not stable at that time. There was no headway. People would rather invest in products that they could see that moves the market, that could traders, for instance, traders that could actually buy and sell. People were more prone to invest in such businesses than us, being a new entire business in a space that is not even well structured at that particular time. So in terms of creditworthiness, we were not having discussions with financial institutions. Fast forward our encounter and our partnership with Olon, now we have financial institutions calling us and asking us for opportunity to speak with us, to discuss business with us. Those are some of the impacts we have gotten from this Oxano and Olon partnership. In terms of increased capacity, we started at 4.5 megawatt. The initial investment from Olon, the 2018 investment, upgraded us to 10 megawatt. And we are on course now building up a 100 megawatt facility thanks to our relationship with Olon. In terms of organizational structure, before our partnership with Olon, we were not well structured. We as a business, we are more focused on doing the business side of things, selling, making profit, revenue, and all the basic, just more concentrated on the numbers. But when Olon came in, they helped us to revamp some of our structures, to put the right structures in place. I know Sele has also mentioned some of their work, which is to make us even investable. So people should be able to see our business model, our business structure, and they should be able to make investors become interested in what we do. And those are some of the structures that Olon has helped us to put in place in the course of our relationship. In terms of brand credibility, yes, right now we can tell anybody that is asking questions about our product, you can go to Olon facility, 44 Body Lawn, working perfectly. Okay, so Olon as an organization, an independent organization, has helped us to get that brand credibility that we were looking for on our own time, on our own way, talking with people, and people were turning us down. Just a mention from Olon alone on social media drives a lot of traffic to us these days. And that is the brand credibility we are talking about. And this wouldn't have been possible without our relationship with Olon. In terms of publicity, we have massively been improved in that area as well. Now we see more and more people calling us and saying, okay, we heard of the name of your company from our discussions with Olon. I would like to speak with you. So in terms of publicity, even via all our social media platforms, we have experienced some massive improvement in terms of exponential improvement when it comes to publicity. And more people are now aware of Oxano. Just in the course of this meeting alone, I know how many times Oxano has been mentioned, which is also another publicity there. And we owe a lot of that to Olon for the drive, pushing us there into the public. Then in terms of staff strength, we at that time, we started so small. Right now, we are 30, and we're even adding more in this 10 megawatt capacity where we are. When we fully get our 100 megawatt factory operational, we are looking at scaling this number even at least a minimum of 3 to 4. So in terms of staff strength, it's increasing. What that means also, it helps us to take a little portion of the issues with unemployment in the country. So we are not just there doing business just for our own benefit. Nigerians and local people are also benefiting from the business thanks to some of the structures and some of the trainings and some of the things that have been put in place in Olon to think beyond just us. A lot have also been mentioned about gender inclusion. When we started, because we know the technology, it's more electrical, it's more technical. In our own view, we felt that maybe guys would have been more suitable to the business. But in our relationship with Olon, we had to re-strategize. And we found out that a chunk of our production process, most especially in our factory, is more suitable for female. So those conversations about gender inclusion also impacted in the way we run our business, and we are benefiting from that discussion also, even in our own business. All right, next slide. All right, thank you. Okay, so this, I promised I wouldn't take much of our time. So this is probably the last of our slide. On the left it's where we started from. And I want to let us know that Olon has been there with us when we started on the left. And where we are going to on the right is the future. And they have been with us all the way. We are hoping in the next coming months, our 100 megawatt facility will be operational. And we will be able to meet more of the demands in the market in terms of solar PV models. All thanks to Olon, all thanks to one partnership that we had. And that is where we are here today. And so we want to use this opportunity on behalf of Oxano to thank Olon for the work they are doing. And I know they are doing a lot for us, and this partnership continues. Thank you, everyone.
Gabriel, thank you very much for that thorough presentation. And just a word on our investees. Our investees don't get mentioned by us, and we're not amplifying their work just because we feel like it. We're mentioning and amplifying their work because they are delivering and they're creating the impact that we were set out to create. So thank you, Gabriel, and thank you to all our investees. What I had wanted to do in this, it would have been a second half, but we only have about 11 minutes left. I wanted to open up the floor for any more questions, either from me, from my presentation on policy and partnerships, or from Oxano or NCIC. Again, in being respectful of your time, If there are no questions, if no one's raising their hands and there are no questions, we're happy to end this, but I do want to give opportunities if anybody needs it to ask questions. If not, like I said earlier, all the presentations, contact information on everyone you've heard from today will be made available to you. So Wisdom, are there any hands up? Any questions in the chat box?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, of course. We have some few.
Okay.
I see a handout from Ibrahim. I've unmuted your mic. Ibrahim, please ask your question, your name, the media house you're coming from, and then your question.
My name is Ibrahim from Business Day. My question is that what is the projection? What is the projection like for solar and renewable energy in Nigeria in the next couple of years?
Projection for solar in Nigeria in the next couple of years.
Yes.
Wiba or Afolabi, does either of you want to attempt that one?
Sorry, what was the question? Was the prospect for,
I guess, growth?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, we actually have some research that's being done right now by BCG, and they've showed that for the last 5 years, there's been a cumulative annual growth rate of 30% in the solar market in Nigeria. Obviously, starting from a very low base in 2016. But if that continues at that rate, or even 20 or 25%, you know, it's going to be almost exponential in terms of growth. So I would say, you know, right now, I mean, when we started all on in 2017, solar was very peripheral. Now it makes headlines when there's, you know, big solar announcements or issues around the solar sector. And so I think by 2025, I think the awareness is going to have been created. Generators are getting more expensive relative to solar. So I think we're going to have a massive growth in the next few years. The exact number I can't say. I think Nigeria currently only has about 100 megawatts of solar installed, maybe 150. So it's not huge. But that's all off grid. We don't have any on grid solar. But I think that number is going to increase substantially, not just because of consumers, but because there's a lot of corporates, both Nigerian and international, who are under a lot of pressure for net zero. And the fastest way to do that is at least to start with, you know, putting all of their industrial operations and so on solar. So there's a lot of factors coming into play in the next few years that means the industry is really, really going to take off. So for all of you here as journalists, you know, you have a front seat for this industry with us. And this is going to be something that, you know, is going to give you a lot of material, a lot of stories in the next couple of years. And I mean, you've heard about NCIC and their companies they work with. You've heard about Oxano. All of these are the kind of stories that Nigerians love to hear, because most of the news we hear in Nigeria is about one funny government policy or the other, or one, you know, problem that Nigeria has, one this, one that, and this is one where it's all about growth, it's all about positivity, it's all about solving problems, it's all about entrepreneurship, innovation, and all that. So, so good question, but I think it's going to become very big, and so all of you here, this is your chance to kind of make a niche for yourself in your profession.
All right, thank you, Weaver. Stretch, I've unmuted your mic. I think you have a question.
Good morning, and this has been very, very mind-blowing as far as I'm concerned. I think this is one ray of hope, I mean, for this country as it is. So I just want to ask this hypothetically: what are we expected as media people to do to help this be more impactful out of the box as media people? I'm talking print, I'm talking TV, I'm talking radio. What do you expect from us apart from what we're doing already? That's what I want to ask.
Hi, Stretch. Thank you for that question. In fact, some of you have actually asked me that question offline. So I think in terms of expectation, getting to understand the sector, right? It's a fairly new sector the world over. Understanding the sector, learning more about the sector, taking advantage of opportunities by people who are in the know, to listen, forums like this, just interactions that help you as storytellers grow. And one thing I know we can do at All On is identify good stories. We can put you in touch with investees and people we've impacted in our community to tell these stories. So I think your job is really just storytelling, accurate storytelling, giving opportunities where opportunities arise, to amplify some of the work that's happening in the sector. And then when there are trainings as well, I know that Rianne has done a training. I mean, I would like to put my hand up and say it's something that I would be really interested in doing, next year if we have scope and budget, media training. Just learning, understanding the sector, learning the sector. I know I've spoken to journalists who say, well, it's not a very cool thing. People don't really like renewables. I think that's because we just don't know. We're not as aware, but I think there is enough interesting, life-changing stories to be told about this sector, and it is the future. So yeah, that's my encouragement to all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Adobe. Before we go to the next question, please drop your name and your media house in the chat box so we can get to know you. Your email address too attached to it. Okay, Simeon, you have a question. Your hand is up. Please unmute your mic and speak so we can hear you.
Yeah. Good morning, all.
Morning.
My name is Simon Ogu, editor Energy Frontier. I want to commend Olon and Olon Hub for this initiative and being undaunted in attacking Nigeria's energy problem. But given the passion all of us have in supporting or in partnering with you to achieve this goal, how long will it take you to address Nigeria's energy problem?
Okay. How long it will take to address Nigeria energy problem? That's the question.
Yes.
That's a billion naira question.
let me respond.
Because we have like 5 minutes to go off.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do this very quick. So Nigeria's oldest energy company and oldest electric company is called NESCO. It's on the plateau where I grew up. Within Plateau State, there are 7 local governments that NESCO supplies power to that have had 24/7 power for over 90 years. And the reason it worked there, it was all hydro and all that, it worked there is because the government left it alone and it was always private and it ran on its own and it delivered. So there's one part of Nigeria, the other part is also Bonny Island, which has its own utility and it functions. So in those 2 locations, we have proven, Nigerians have proven that they can build and run reliable power utilities and serve their population perfectly as everywhere else in the world. So on one level, we've proven that we can do it. On another level, we've taken, in the last 40 years, the Nigerian government in various ways has basically underinvested in power for the rest of the country, and just to the point where we have the worst power sector in the world, right? It's actually an embarrassment. And you don't fix a 40-year-old problem overnight. However, because this administration has finally seen that the grid is not the only solution and they're opening the doors for all of these other sort of off-grid approaches, I think we finally have the path towards closing that gap. And you as a consumer can now choose, do you want to use the grid power? Do you want to use a generator? Do you want to use a solar product? If soon there's going to be other, maybe wind products, there's going to be biomass products. All of these are going to be options. And the more options you have, it's going to force the distribution companies to be more professional and deliver better service. It's going to, put the economics in place for IPPs all over the country to deliver localized power. It's going to, put the generator guys on notice that their technology is outdated and that they need to switch to solar as well. So all of these things are happening. So I can't give an exact time. 40 years, a 40-year-old problem doesn't get solved overnight, but I think we're on track. And I think 3 years from now, we're all going to be in a much better position than we are now.
Thank you, Wiba. I don't want this to end abruptly. Wisdom, this is timed, right? And we have 2 minutes to go. Is that correct?
Yes, we have 2 minutes.
This will go off. Okay. So I'm sure there are other questions. Please, you have access to every single one of us. Type your questions in the chat box, send me an email, send Wisdom, who invited all of you to this session, emails with your questions. So I'd like to turn this over to my colleague in finance, Tomi Olakibe, to close the session properly. Tomi, take us home.
Yeah, before Tomi comes on, please reminder again your name, your media house on the chat box and email address so we don't forget. Okay, Tomi, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Wisdom and Adobe. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you very much. Good morning once again. It's just before 12, so I can still say good morning. On behalf of Allon's management and staff, I'd also like to say thank you again for spending time with us this Friday morning. We hope that, like for us, and for you also, it has been an engaging and enlightening session. Like my colleagues have said, we cannot discount the importance of the press in telling, Allon's story, our investee story, and really the off-grid energy industry story in Nigeria. We appreciate all of the work that has already been done. We don't take it for granted. And we also implore you to do more, to take advantage of the connections that we have to basically tell the story of the industry, tell the story of Allon, tell the story of our investees, our partners in general. Like we mentioned at the start of the call, this session was really set up to engage, key stakeholders within the community, the media community in Nigeria, to basically enlighten you about, Allon's business approach, our key pillars, why we do what we do, and then the impact that we have made so far within, Nigeria and the Niger Delta also. We hope that this inaugural session will be the start of, a strengthened, heightened relationship with the media. We hope that subsequent sessions will be larger, bigger, we'll be telling more stories, and the impacts will resonate deeply and across. Would like to thank our representative partners on the call and our investee. I think Gabriel from Oxano and Bankole of the NTIC. Thank you so much for your time. For the sake of time, I think we're just 1 hour, 1 minute above the time. I'm not able to call every member of the press out and say thank you individually, but then I'd just like to thank you once again for telling our story, for being on this call with us, for being excited at the opportunity to talk to us and then to tell our story. Like my colleagues have said, please reach out to any member of the team. All of this information will be shared by Wisdom at the end of this call. Please reach out to any member of the team. We're always excited to, make the connections, to tell our stories, the stories of our investees, and basically to be champions and to be cheerleaders for our investees and our partners. So thank you once again for your time. We appreciate the 2 hours that you spent with us, and, have a very restful weekend. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Thanks,
Tommy.
everybody.
That was great. I don't know, Adobe, can we close with Ibrahim's question? Ibrahim's hand is up.
Sure, I don't know why I thought this would cut off automatically, but
yeah,
sure.
I also thought it to cut off, but since we didn't go off, let's just take Ibrahim's question and
Absolutely.
then we're
good idea.
Ibrahim, can you unmute and just ask your question, and then we can close with that for the day? Ibrahim from Business Day, if you're speaking, your mic is muted. You need to unmute. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure I can hear us again. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Again, the chat section, please drop your name and media house and email address so we can share the presentations with you, and then reach out to you going forward, and we can keep a close contact going forward with some of you who have joined the call today. And like Adobe mentioned, if you have any question, you have my email address, you have my phone number. I'll be very happy to connect you to any of our investees or answer your questions, and then see how we can make this relationship work better going forward. And we hope the next time we will do this, we'll be doing it in the physically in a more serene environment where we can shake hands and have better conversations about all of these things. But going forward, I'll be keeping close contact with you all, and that's why I need your email address. But all the same, thank you, and thank you for joining. Adobe, any words before we leave?
I think we've said it all. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate and respect your time. Take care. Stay safe. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
See you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Please, as you're signing out, your name, media house, email, please.